we do need to ask for help. We also just need to say, even if we're not asking for help, we also just need to say, I can't manage this all on my own today. I'm going to have to let go of something. That's okay too. It's not failure. It's actually really strong to say, I can't do this all on my own on this particular occasion.
Hello and welcome to today's episode of Joe Wildsmith Pod and Passive Income Podcast. And today I'm joined by the lovely Sue Richards, and I'm going to let Sue tell you exactly what she does.
Hi, Joe. Thank you for having me. It's so lovely to be here with you. I'm Sue Richards. I am a freedom and success coach, and I work with self-employed mums to help them steer clear of burnout, ditch the overwhelm, and minimize their mental load so that they can carve out more time and create more energy for their own needs, wants, and desires, alongside being a brilliant business owner and a brilliant mum.
Wow, because the struggle is real.
The struggle
Overwhelm is definitely a thing. Burnout is massive. And I don't know about you, but I see something else and I think I could do that. I want to do that. The shiny object syndrome kicks in. And the next thing you know, I've gone off on a tangent and I know I've got all this other stuff to complete. I'm not a completer finisher. So I totally understand that there's a need for somebody like you. Totally get it. So who are your clients really?
They are ambitious, driven, purpose and heart-led entrepreneurs, business owners who also happen to be mums. So I work with people who their business is one of their babies effectively. So they've got obviously their kids, but they've now got their baby, which is their business, and they want to hit ambitious goals. They want to, almost like prove themselves, but in a positive way. So yes, they want to prove themselves, which can also come back to some of the limiting beliefs that I end up unraveling with my clients. But there's also a degree of proving themselves from a positive standpoint as well, that they're here to do more than just run a business and be a mum. They've got bigger goals than that. And they are impact driven as well. So they want to impact on their clients, whether they be a service provider or a product provider. But they've got big goals, both tangible and intangible, for their business. But in amongst all of that, because they also want to be an amazing mum, they have lost themselves down the gap in the middle effectively. So on the one hand, they've got the business that they're juggling in this hand, and then they've got the motherhood juggle in this hand, and then they've just slipped through the gap. And so health and wellness has sort of dropped to the bottom of the agenda. Making time for fun and joy and a bit of silliness, if that's their thing, has dropped through the gaps as well. And I try and bring that back to the top so that they can use their inner joy and their inner happiness and their inner energy to ripple out back to being the brilliant mother and the brilliant business owner. Because I honestly believe that everything that we do business-wise and relationship-wise, whether it's for our kids, our partners, our friends, all comes from within us. And if we're depleted, then that's the energy we're giving out to everything else as well. So I believe, and this is quite a bold statement, but I believe we need to be at the top of the priority list, because then the ripple effect is just going to be so massive to everything else that we're doing and everybody else we're interacting with.
That is very interesting, because we are taught right from very early years at school, oh no, you put other people first, you put yourself at the bottom of the pile. It's how it all affects other people, how it filters out what the outward view and all of that. And yes, you're right, you can't pour from an empty cup, can you?
No, and I mean, I've been there. I've poured from that empty cup, or attempted to pour from that empty cup on many occasions. And so this is partly why I do what I do, because I've been in the shoes that my client is in, and many coaches are like this, right? They serve the clients that were them once. Yeah. And I have actually hit what I would describe as burnout, and probably what you would describe as burnout. I've hit that more than once. in trying to achieve too much too quickly. And in the process, everything else has got neglected, including my own needs.
Yeah.
And so much so that I've ended up putting my business on pause twice because I just couldn't handle the stress and the overwhelm that came with running the business alongside everything else. And then I've been called back to it. So the reason I'm still doing it now is because I know deep within my bones it's what I'm here to do, because every time I step away from it, within about 12 months, I'm being drawn back to start again. So I know that I need to be here doing this. And it sounds very woo, but I believe I was put on this planet to do this work and to help people live longer, healthier, happier lives. Because as I say, I keep getting drawn back to it. And I also knew this in my bones when I was in my teens. I was going to go on to do medical research. That was my original plan as a teenager. So right back then I was like, I want to help people live longer and be healthier. And now I'm adding in the happier element to it as well. So it's always been within me. And I've forgotten what the question was that you asked now. But prioritizing ourselves, yeah, we are so led to think about others and to share nicely and to be kind and to not take up too much space and to not upset anybody. And I don't know about you, Joe, but for me personally, I was the good girl.
Yeah.
I was the strong girl. I remember being told when I was sort of 5 or 6, don't cry, you're a big girl, you don't need to cry. No. And all that messaging, now I'm starting to unpick it all. But all that messaging has kept me small, but has also made me want to prove myself worthy and gain love. And I see that in my clients too. The people pleasing, the perfectionist tendencies, the high achieving tendencies that push us over the edge, and that good girl, keep quiet, don't cause conflict, don't disrupt things, all of that stuff I see playing out.
Yeah, so that's absolutely right. And way back millions of years ago, it feels like, I used to be an air stewardess, and this is such an overused analogy, but the whole thing about you put your oxygen mask on you before you do it on your dependents and other people, it's true. You cannot help them if you are struggling. If you're there and you've got nothing left, you just can't do that. So I totally agree, totally get that. But it is very easy, as you say. You've got your one hand, you've got the business, you've got your other hand, which is your family. Or sometimes, so it's not always family down below. I'm at the age now where it's the family upwards now, and then there's nothing. You've run out of hands.
Yeah,
you've run out of hands. So you've got to make sure that these hands are actually, they've had the home cream on. They're actually nurtured and they have the power and the energy. So I totally understand that. So how do you do it? Do you do it on a one-to-one basis? Do you do it in a group?
Well, historically, I've been doing it one-to-one. I'm very keen on the deep work. So I mentioned a few minutes ago about limiting belief work. And from my experience, both for the clients I work with and my own lived experience, I believe you can only unravel those limiting beliefs if you've got deep support, but also you probably won't even spot those limiting beliefs without somebody mirroring things back to you or spotting them before you do. And so I quite often will spot things in my clients that they don't even realize are there because they've been buried so deep for so long, and it's just normal. It's just the way they live their lives and have done for years. They don't even recognize that there's maybe stuff going on that needs to be unraveled. And so I'm a big believer of having one-to-one touch points in order to support that and go deep and allow that trust and that allow clients to feel safe to speak with me and to open up to me so that we can really get to the root of what's holding them back. Because my clients, they're not stupid, right? They're intelligent women. They've got businesses. Most of them have got degrees or high level qualifications. They're highly intelligent women who've got big goals. They know they need to be looking after themselves more. They're just not doing it. So it's not like I need to coach them on what they need to be doing. It's more that I coach them on how to actually bring it into their routine and their schedules in a way that works for them. And whilst I could just give them the strategy and the toolkit and go, right, here's your structure for the week, just follow it, I know that long term that doesn't work, because once they leave my care, as it were, they're on their own. And yes, they've got a schedule, but they've got nobody holding them accountable. And they don't really, still don't really understand why they couldn't do it on their own before. Right. So I dig into the mindset reframes and the limiting beliefs that are holding them back. Because once we've changed up here, once we've changed what's going on in our minds, everything else becomes a lot easier. And we can take the actions we know we need and want to take without it being that difficult. It can be, it can be very, very straightforward and very simple. But if we're only doing it based on, I should be doing this and I should be doing that, and that's what Sue tells me to do, and my structure does this, that's not the answer. We need to get into the deeper layers. So that's why I've been working one-to-one. Mm-hmm. But in the autumn, I'm launching a new program, which is going to be a hybrid program. So it's going to make it a bit more accessible. And it's also going to bring in the beauty of group work, women only, very safe space for people to share where they're at, share ideas, share inspiration, a bit of wisdom, shared experience, all that stuff. So there'll be group elements, there'll be one-to-one work calls still, because as I've just said, I think they're really, really powerful. And then there'll be some self-led work as well. So a real mix, huge levels of accountability, because as I've just said, these women know what they should be doing. They're not doing it. So they need those loving, ass-kicking moments.
I can imagine. And also human nature, there is an element of, okay, that's working. That's brilliant. That's amazing. That's working. I don't need to bother doing that now. That's worked. And it's like, no. You've still got to keep doing it. It's for it to keep working. But we can't have, we get lazy, or we get sidetracked, or we get busy, and then we come away from it again, and then we've sort of unraveled all of your good stuff. So yeah, I can see the value of you having that hybrid program, definitely. But also confidentiality as well. There is some things, there are going to be some things that have to stay in a one-to-one environment, because people can't talk freely necessarily in a group, even when it's a group of people who've been working together for a while and they start to know each other. And sometimes, yes, that can benefit, because one thing can trigger one memory in somebody else, and then suddenly they're opening up in ways that may not have happened. But the real deeper stuff, it's hard sometimes to share that in a group, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think it's hard for me as their coach and mentor to always identify that stuff as well, because when you're in a group environment and you're trying to speak to, 5, 6, 8 people, you're not focusing on one-on-one. And it's that focus on one-on-one that allows me to really spot the things that are really going on, from the odd word here and there, the odd bit of body language here and there, the eye rolls, stuff like that I can't necessarily spot in a group environment, but I can definitely see when I'm chatting like one-to-one with somebody.
Wow, goodness. Do you find with what you do, like if you're sort of having a cup of tea with a friend and you notice that they're sort of distracted and going off and doing something, is it really hard to switch off and not say, oh, back in the room, focus on me? Gosh,
yeah, really hard. I go to I hope she won't mind me sharing this, I'm sure, but I go to a local co-working space, and the lady who runs it's not just a co-working space, it's a beautiful female community as well, which is why I go there. I just love it. But quite often I'll chat with her about stuff, and a couple of times she said to me, you trigger me. You're saying the stuff that I know I need to hear, but I don't really want to hear. Because
you can't help yourself, can you?
No.
I'm the same with, because we do the books. I do all areas of print on demand and passive income, and one of the things I do particularly is books, print on demand books, either with KDP or other publishers and things like that. But because I'm all about the written word so much, and I am a Virgo, and apparently I have ADHD as well, like the tag that everybody's so excited about, I'm like, embarrassing, really. But
it's good awareness, Jo. It's good awareness.
Yeah, I guess. I'm like, okay, whatever. Give me as many labels as you like. I'm just me. But people send me a text and they proofread it before they send it to me. So many people have admitted that because they know that the first thing I'll do is say, "Oh," and
There's a missing comma there.
I don't. It's not like I sort of circle it in red and send it back to them. I try very hard not to even mention it, but sometimes when it's something quite funny, you know, that old eat, shoots and leaves thing. Sometimes I can't help myself putting a sarky comment back or a jokey comment back, usually witty sarcasm, always. But I just can't help myself doing it. And so people have started admitting to me that to text me now, they actually go through it, first of all. It's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't know I did that. I didn't realise. But there we are.
I think it's inevitable, isn't it, though, when you're doing, when you're providing a service to someone, or to, not to that person necessarily, but to people, that your brain is going to be a little bit tuned into what's coming in, whether in your form it's words. Mine is like, well, it is still words, but it's spoken word. Or, as I said, body language. You're just naturally tuned into it because that's what we're here to do, right? Yeah. Absolutely. So yes, I do see it. I see it in some of my friends. I have yet to say anything to them because it's a tricky one. But it's slowly coming. You know, I feel I can like subtly say things.
Yeah.
And I think there is a greater awareness again as well amongst the female, particularly the female entrepreneur community. I'm seeing that people are more aware that burnout is a real thing. The burnout that we talk about. The reason I'm saying that is because true burnout is suicidal tendencies,
right,
and deep depression, which I've certainly not been in that place. And most of the people that I know that speak about burnout aren't in that place. They're in that deep exhaustion, lethargy, lack of motivation, neglecting their self-care a little bit, not sleeping well, being snappy with the kids, you know, that sort of stuff, dropping balls left, right and centre because they're just not feeling in control of life. I think that's what we generally are referring to burnout as. But I think there's a better awareness that we can slip into it very easily without realising it's coming, which is great that people are seeing that awareness. We just need to actually do something about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Going back to my labels, about 15 years ago when I got divorced and I had to have 2 operations, which meant that I couldn't carry on with my career either at the same time. And I had 3 children who were 2 8-year-olds and a 6-year-old at the time. So it was a very difficult time. I was diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome, CFS, and that was a bit of a rude awakening, really, because you just tend to think you can just keep going and you just pile it up and you let everybody put on you. In my family, I'm the youngest of 4, and always it's like, it's fine, take it to Jo, she's never in a bad mood. Not true. I'm just better at hiding it than they are. That's all. And so it was like everything was on my shoulders and I broke. It was just too much. And there is a tendency, especially as mothers, especially as women, especially as self-employed people, because by then that was the only option to me available to me, really, that you take it all on and you're like, yeah, of course I can do with that. Yes, of course I can deal with that. I don't need to sit and watch telly at night. I can just keep working and then go to bed. And then, of course, you go to bed and you're like wired. And then you're looking at the clock thinking, oh, I've got to go really early because I've got that to do. And I've got to get the kids to school. And it's too much.
Yeah.
It's too much.
So one of the biggest things I speak to my clients about is asking for help, because as strong, independent, ambitious, driven women who were taught to not cause conflict and not, you know, disrupt the homeostasis, we have conditioned ourselves. We have been conditioned to not ask for help, that we can do all of this on our own. We can be a brilliant mother, a brilliant business owner, a brilliant friend, and look after ourselves, and.
Yeah.
And we've told ourselves that, right? I honestly believe, yes, there's been societal conditioning, but I also believe we are slightly at fault ourselves because we have chosen to continue with that social conditioning and not go, hold on a minute, I can't do this all on my own. How am I expected to run a successful business and a household and look after my kids and be a great friend and partner and make time for myself? I mean, when you say it like that, you're like, it's just ridiculous.
There's not enough hours in the day.
No, there is not enough hours in the day. And we need to ask for help. And I was guilty of this again, very many, years ago. I would never ask for help. If somebody offered me help, I'd be like, no, I'm fine. I can do it. I'll
Why?
be
What do you think
fine.
I'm not coping? Yeah.
Yeah. That whole adage of if you want something done, ask a busy person. That was me, and now I'm not quite completely the opposite, but so much more willing to accept and ask for help. And it has made the biggest difference to everything. My husband now is, I don't always have to ask. He's quite proactive at getting things done around the house. Whereas, years gone by, I might have been like, can you, and then felt guilty for asking for help. And I'm like, hold on a minute.
And then there's the, can you, oh, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And, we're both my husband and I are self-employed. So why shouldn't we, divide and conquer?
Absolutely.
So yeah, I think we do need to ask for help. We also just need to say, even if we're not asking for help, we also just need to say, I can't manage this all on my own today. I'm going to have to let go of something. That's okay too. It's not failure. It's actually really strong to say, I can't do this all on my own on this particular occasion. And saying no to people is really powerful too. Because if we are always saying yes because we feel guilty for letting someone down, then all we're doing is letting ourselves down. So we need to learn to say no and have good boundaries around that.
Isn't it amazing how so much of this comes down to social conditioning? So much like, oh, well, we're saying no. Hang on, that feels a bit uncomfortable. And asking for help.
Yeah.
We always feel like that's a sign of weakness. We can't do that until, as you say, you reach burnout and it gets taken away from you anyway.
Yeah.
Because suddenly you can't function.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and either gets taken away and somebody does it for you, or it just doesn't happen. And then you end up with a house that's in chaos and a schedule that's in chaos and unhappy kids, unhappy partners, unhappy, you're unhappy. The whole thing's a right mess. So yeah, we need to try and catch it before it gets to that point. And that's what I try and do, is help clients get there, notice it before it's too late.
And is it always, it sounds very much like it's always women. If a dad came to you that was a single dad, say, and so there was no woman in his life, but he was experiencing all of the same things, would you be able to help him?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I when I'm doing any of my marketing, I speak about working with self-employed mums because that's who my ideal client is. And certainly for my hybrid program, it will be a women's only space. And I'm very happy to welcome in non-self-employed women into that. For anybody who's listening who might be interested, I'm not going to alienate people just because they're not self-employed. But equally, I wouldn't have a man in that space because I want the safety of it being like a women's circle. And I, having been in those spaces myself, I know how safe and secure I feel in those spaces. But I'd certainly consider working with somebody on a one-to-one capacity if it was a good fit and they were male.
Yeah, that's excellent to hear, because there are people, aren't there, it's the individual, their individual circumstances, rather than, you don't want to exclude people from being able to be helped. So
no, I don't. I guess the reason I like to work with self-employed mums is because that's what I am, and so I completely can understand the specific juggle of trying to create and run a successful business without having a regular salary coming in.
Yes.
And juggling it with motherhood, which is very different to being employed and a mother. You can still hit burnout in both scenarios, but there's that non-guaranteed income that comes with extra pressure. I feel as a self-employed woman, or man for that matter, you've always got that, like, when's the next pound coming in, when's the next client coming through the door. There's always a degree of of that to add to the stress levels.
Absolutely. And it is interesting that you're in a household where both of you are self-employed. In my situation, my partner is not. My partner is salaried. And he does not get a lot of the reasons why he comes in from work and just relaxes, has a little snooze in front of the telly, and I'm still here in my office. He doesn't understand why, and he doesn't understand how. He's like, if I work from home, I would just eat toast all day and just not do anything. I'm like, well, it might wear off a little bit after a while. But he just can't have that mentality. So it's a different mindset anyway.
Yeah.
But also means our household has that element of security. Our house has the paid sick leave, paid holidays, paid bank holidays, and things like that, which, okay, to me, it's like, oh, that means that you're limited. And I couldn't bear that. But from his point of view, it gives him the security he needs. But your household hasn't got that.
No. Although, interestingly, alongside my coaching work, I also have 2 other businesses. And whilst they are freelance, they bring in pretty guaranteed income each year. So that's quite nice. And I don't have to go looking for that work. The company that I freelance for comes to me. So I don't have the marketing pressures associated with that. And the same with my husband, actually. He's got one particular client who every so often they dip off the radar and then they come back again. And he's been working with that client for, I want to say 6 years. It might be even longer. I'm not sure. And yeah, so we've both got, neither of us have got guaranteed income. Any day they could just turn around and say, no, we're not working with you anymore. But I've been working freelance for the company that I teach for, well, I was employed by them 24 years ago. I then had my first baby and I went freelance when I had her, and she's 23 in November. So I've been freelancing with them for a long time.
Yeah.
So the likelihood of it completely going to zero is quite slim.
Good relationship there, and that is wonderful to have. But it also takes the pressure off, and it means that you're doing what you're doing in this side of the business, helping the stressed out business owners who are mothers as well. It means that you're doing that not out of a place of desperation just to get their one-to-one fee from them. It means you're doing it because you genuinely want to help them. And why should you not get paid for that? Absolutely. But it means that it's not just all about chasing the dollar all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a really difficult one, though. And I literally had a bit of a temper tantrum the other evening about this, because at the moment I'm in quite a busy phase with my other work, my freelance teaching and publishing work. And it's meaning I can put less time into my coaching business. And therefore, it's meaning that coaching business is growing a bit slower than I'd like it to. And I'm not really impacting people's lives in the way I really want to be doing, in as many lives as I want to be impacting. And so I'm in that difficult situation. It's like a catch-22. Like, the financial security is great. And as you say, I'm not leading from a place of lack or desperation when it comes to bringing clients through the door. And I'm serving those clients from a place of love and very much from my heart center and not from my head. But it also then has the knock-on effect that there's not as many hours in the weeks to build this business. Yeah. But you can't have everything, can you? Everything's always a compromise.
No, and especially in the field you're in, the one thing you must not do is be trying to do all that, because you need to be leading by example, don't you?
Yeah.
So you need to be, I guess, making sure that you are prioritizing your own time and space as well. It's very interesting, isn't it? Very interesting. Wow. So thank you so much. I've learned loads. Please make sure, I've already got some links from you, but please make sure that you give me everything that you want me to put in the show notes. I wish you so much success with this. It's a very needed thing. Been there. Got that t-shirt.
Hopefully won't get it again.
No, I learned the hard way. Absolutely. And I yeah, and but it is so easy, isn't it, to get sucked back into it? Absolutely, definitely.
Yeah, and I think it happens without us really realizing it's happening. We just gradually decline and decline and decline, and then we get to the point where we can't get back out of the dip, and
Yeah,
that's not a good place to be, as you and I both know.
yeah, 100%, 100%. So thank you very, very much for joining me. As I say, I've learnt loads, and I'm looking at my diary after this. I'm going to give myself a little bit of a break.
Good. That's what I
Absolutely.
like to hear.
Thank you so, so much.
Pleasure. Thanks, Jo. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.